Good morning. Today we're in Mark 6, 30 through 44. Jesus feeding 5,000. So, what were your thoughts this morning?
Well, the first thing that struck me was, and I don't know why I've not noticed it before when at the start of this story, but they were exhausted. And their plan was to get away, retreat, have a Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
So they were physically depleted. Now they were probably spiritually pumped up because they come back and they're like telling him all the things that they've done. And you know how it is whenever you get excited about stuff. It's like, oh, and then I blah 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 blah. And it's like they're emotionally they're charged,
Mm-hmm.
but physically it tells us that they're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting away to have a time of rest, and then as they're rowing across, you know that had to go down. You know, that excitement level had to be waning. So by the time they got to the other side, I'm sure that they were mentally, physically, and spiritually really tired because the whole purpose of it was to get renewed. But then they have all of these people here. And it says that Jesus had compassion on them. And he models for us putting aside our own physical need in order to address someone else's spiritual need. And that was very powerful to me, that modeling of putting others ahead of ourselves, others' needs. And then the other thing just kind of struck me as odd that I also never made the connection before was with the 12 baskets and the 12 disciples. It never clicked that that number was the same. I knew it, but it just never associated in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And so after Jesus has poured out all he has, what's left? The 12 baskets. After he's poured out all that he had on the cross, what's left? Whenever he ascends, what's left? The 12 disciples.
Well, except for the one who was...
Well, but he was replaced.
Yes.
I just, and it may not be that, I never struck me before that there were 12 baskets and there were 12 disciples. And
That's a good point.
just thinking off the top of my head.
The part that always strikes me is, so the disciples' answer is, okay, we got all these people, we need to send them out of here, get them to go someplace because they're going to be starving and there's nothing out here, so they just need to go down to the nearest Quicktrip or, you know.
They need to go fill their own need.
Yeah. And so here is, you give them something to eat, and they're like,
Well, it would be an impossible task.
mm-hmm. And then they go and do the little survey here, and they're like, okay, we got five loaves of bread and 2 fish, and I'm picturing fish, you know.
Yeah, little fish.
Uh,
Because it would have to be mobile because these people were out in the middle of nowhere. So obviously they were carryable fish. They didn't like have 5 men walking like this holding a giant mackerel or something.
Yeah. So that's the resources that they had available to them, and he looks up, blesses it, and divides it out, and that's...
And it's another example of how we are always given the resources we need to accomplish what we're asked to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not seem like we have an appropriate amount of resources to do what we need to do, but we are always given the resources we need to accomplish what we're asked to do. May not be what we want to do, may not be how we want to do it, but
I feel like sometimes we got the fish, we just need the people. So, that's our thoughts for today. Read through Mark 6, 30 through 44 and give us your thoughts.